I never thought I'd torch my own career to expose the snake who'd slithered into mine. But when Elena Vargas, the golden girl of Chicago's art scene, whispered my stolen secrets into the ear of the very coordinator who'd mentored me, I realized mercy was for suckers. That night, as sirens wailed over the loop like a bad omen, I cracked open the folder that held the ghosts of her betrayal, the one I'd buried under years of silence, and decided payback wasn't just sweet, it was the only art worth creating. By dawn, the mural we'd bled for was draped in black tarps, banned for inciting division, but I knew the real division was the lie she'd fed me since we were starving artists sharing a roach-infested loft on the south side. It started 5 years back, in the summer of 20, when the world was still choking on the ashes of George Floyd's murder and every wall in the city screamed for truth. I was Madison Hale, 28, fresh off a stint at the School of the Art Institute, hustling murals for community centers while dodging eviction notices. Chicago's art world was a viper pit, grants doled out like lottery tickets. Egos sharper than switchblades, but I'd clawed my way into Victor Lang's orbit. Victor was the coordinator for the city's public art initiative, a silver-haired fox in his 50s with a Rolodex thicker than his conscience. He'd spotted my piece at a pop-up in Pilsen, a sprawling wall of fractured faces, black and brown kids staring out from cracked concrete, demanding eyes that said, "See us or burn." "Kid," he told me over cheap whiskey at a dive on Division Street, "you've got fire. But fire needs fuel. Let me light it." He did. Victor pulled strings, got me a fellowship, introduced me to galleries that paid actual rent money. In return, I poured my soul into his projects, nights blending acrylics under buzzing fluorescents, days pitching visions of equity to stuffed shirt committees. That's where Elena came in. She was Victor's protégé, too. A Latina firecracker from Humboldt Park with cheekbones that could cut glass and a laugh that disarmed donors like a loaded checkbook. We bonded over late-night ramen in his office, trading stories of growing up invisible. Me, a white girl from the Rust Belt suburbs who'd married into activism through my ex's Black Lives Matter crew. Her, orphaned young and clawing through foster homes. "Sisters in the struggle," she'd say, clinking her solo cup against mine. Victor called us his dynamic duo, the future of Chicago art. The mural was our magnum opus. Commissioned for the West Side Cultural Corridor, a stretch of boarded-up storefronts reborn as a unity wall, it was supposed to be a triptych, past wounds in shadowed grays, present rage in fiery reds, future hope in blooming golds. Elena and I sketched it out on napkins at Big Star, tacos dripping as we argued over symbolism. "Make the figures anonymous," she insisted, "so anyone can see themselves." I pushed for specifics, names etched in the cracks, like Breonna Taylor's, to honor the ghosts. Victor mediated, his voice smooth as bourbon. "Balance it, girls." Controversy sells tickets, but lawsuits bury dreams. We toiled for months, me on the scaffolding with spray cans hissing like angry spirits, Elena mixing pigments and charming permits from City Hall. By fall, it was alive, 100 feet of raw power. Kids pausing on their way to school, whispering, "That's us up there." The backlash hit like a brick through glass. Conservative bloggers called it anti-cop propaganda, pointing to a subtle badge motif cracked like an eggshell in the past panel. Local precinct unions threatened boycotts. A state rep from the burbs tweeted that it was woke terrorism on taxpayer dime. Victor called an emergency meeting in his glass-walled office overlooking the Chicago River, the city lights twinkling like distant gunfire. "It's brilliant," he said, pacing in his Brooks Brothers slacks. "But we're walking a tightrope." Elena, Your connections at the mayor's office. Can you smooth it? She nodded. All poise. While I sat there, paint still under my nails, feeling the noose tighten. I didn't see the betrayal coming. Not when Elena started angling for Victor's job, whispering to board members about fresh blood. Not when she borrowed my sketches for her portfolio, claiming it was collaboration. And sure as hell not when she framed me for the embezzlement that nearly tanked the initiative.
See?
Victor had a side hustle, siphoning grant funds into offshore accounts for consulting fees to his cronies. I'd stumbled on it accidentally, logging into the shared drive for Mural specs and finding spreadsheets labeled discretionary. Numbers didn't lie. $50,000 vanished into ether, routed through shell LLCs.
Panicked,
I'd confronted him in the parking garage after gala, rain pounding the asphalt like accusations. Madison, he sighed, lighting a Marlboro. It's not what you think. Elena knows. She's handling the audits. Elena? My gut twisted. But Victor swore it was contained. You cover for me. I make you untouchable. I did. Because what choice did a broke artist have? I fudged the receipts, signed off on phantom invoices, told myself it was for the greater good, the murals. The voices amplified. But Elena had been playing both sides. She'd tipped off the auditors anonymously, planting digital footprints leading back to me. My login, my emails. When the feds knocked, it was my name on the warrant. Victor played the shocked mentor. Elena, the loyal whistleblower who'd uncovered irregularities. I took the plea: community service, probation, a black mark that killed my grants overnight. It'll blow over, Victor promised from his yacht in Door County, while I scraped by bartending at a Wicker Park hipster joint. Years passed in a haze of resentment. I clawed back, freelancing murals for nonprofits, keeping my head down. Elena rose like cream, Victor's successor by 23. Her face on Chicago magazine's 40 Under 40, preaching inclusive art from corner offices. We crossed paths at openings. I'd nod coolly. She'd air kiss my cheek, murmuring, "Miss you."
Mads.
Let's collab again. Lies. All of it. Until the West Side redo. The city, flush with post-pandemic funds, greenlit a revitalization wave. Elena, now coordinator Vargas, tapped me for the lead. Nostalgia? Pity? Your style's iconic, she emailed, CCing the board. I bit, because that wall had been my redemption arc. With a crew of young artists, Jamal from Bronzeville, sketching fists raised, Sophia, a queer muralist adding floral veils over protest signs, we rebuilt it bigger, bolder. This time, the past panel whispered of hidden corruptions, faceless suits pocketing coins from outstretched hands, a nod to the scandals I'd swallowed. Unveiling night was electric. The block party thrummed with food trucks slinging elotes and ribs, DJs spinning Kendrick over the hum of generators. Councilwoman Rivera cut the ribbon, her speech a mic drop on resilience. But as the crowd swelled, families, activists, even a few Blue Lives holdouts, Elena's face soured. She'd seen the suits panel. Whispers rippled, too pointed, too soon after a fresh PD scandal. By midnight, she pulled the plug. Indefinite suspension, her memo read, emailed at 2 a.m. Pending review for inflammatory content. Tarps dropped at dawn, erasing our work like digital regret. Jamal texted me furious. This is bullshit. She's burying us again. Sophia cried in the group chat.
Me?
I felt the old scar rip open. That's when I remembered the folder. Tucked in a safety deposit box since the plea deal. A manila relic from Victor's retirement gift, the one he'd slipped me with a wink before vanishing to Florida. Insurance, he'd called it. I'd never cracked it. Too raw. Too scared.
But now,
With the mural smothered and Elena's star ascendant, I drove to the bank in my rattling Civic. The loop's morning snarl mocking my resolve. The teller handed it over like contraband. I waited till I hit the lakeshore. Waves crashing under Navy Pier. To pry it open. Inside, printouts. Emails. A USB drive humming with ghosts. Victor's ledgers. Raw and unredacted. Proof of the skim. Elena's signature on the diversions. But deeper, her anonymous tip to the feds. Time-stamped from his office. Her IP masked but sloppy. And the kicker, text between them. Post-bust, she'll take the heat. Loyal to a fault. Promote me after?
his reply done.
You're the clean one now. Betrayal distilled. She'd sold me out for his throne. And he'd pimped his own protege to save his skin. There was more, Victor's notes on her skeletons. Early days. She'd lifted designs from undocumented artists in Little Village, passing them as her own. A hushed assault allegation from a gallery intern, quashed with NDAs. Elena, the saint, built on borrowed bones. I didn't sleep that night. Pace my Logan Square walk up. Lake Michigan's wind howling through cracked windows. Debating the fallout. Drop it to the press? They'd crucify her. But splash me as the vengeful ex-con. Leak to the board? Corporate kabuki. She'd spin it as mutual errors. No, the play had to be public. Visceral. A mirror to the mural's truths. The review hearing was set for Thursday. City Hall's ornate chambers packed with stakeholders. Elena would preside. All poise and PowerPoints, arguing community standards. I'd be the consulted artist, muzzled by decorum. Wednesday, I rallied the crew. Jamal's eyes lit when I showed him scans. This is dynamite. Sophia hesitated. Is it righteous? Or just rage? But nodded. We prepped like insurgents, in beds in the audience. A live stream set up via Sophia's Twitch. Me? I'd go nuclear. Dress the part, tailor blazer over ripped jeans, hair in a fierce braid, and carry the folder like Excalibur. Hearing day dawned gray. The kind of Chicago chill that seeps into your grudges. City Hall buzzed. Reporters from Block Club. Activists waving signs. Art ain't apologize. A smattering of cops eyeing the crowd. Elena took the dais in a crimson sheath. Her smile ablade. We're here to foster dialogue, she intoned. Voice honey over venom. Presentations droned. Budget wonks. Heritage experts. My slot. 5 minutes to defend the vision. I stepped up. Folder under arm. Heart hammering like a bass drop. Coordinator Vargas. I began. Locking eyes. This mural isn't a vision, it's excavation. Like digging up the foundations we pretend are solid. Murmurs. She leaned in, expectant. I flipped the folder open. Pages fanning like accusations. Remember the initiative scandal? The one where funds vanished. And an artist took the fall. Gasps rippled. I projected the ledgers via Sophia's hidden laptop, blurry but damning. Elena's name in bold. You greenlit the diversions. You tipped the feds to frame me. And Victor? He handed you the keys. Chaos erupted. Board members gaveling for order. Elena's face draining to ash. Stammering. Fabrications slander. But the USB fed live to screens. Her texts.
Pixel perfect.
Reporters surged. Phones out. Jamal stood, yelling. She stole our voices then. Stealing now. A cop in the back shifted uncomfortably. Turns out, one ledger line traced to precinct donations. Polarization cracked the room. Some cheered my reveal as justice. Others hissed witch hunt, pointing to my plea record. Elena flipped, tears now. Mic in hand. I was coerced. Victor groomed us both. He's the monster. Gasps anew. She'd pivot to victim, dragging him under to float. The board recessed, but the tide turned. By evening, sometimes headlines screamed, Mural maelstrom, embezzlement echoes in art ban. Petitions flooded, reinstate the wall, audit the initiative. Elena suspended pending investigation, Victor's Florida hideout raided by noon.
Me?
I slipped out a side door. The folder's weight gone but echoes heavy. The crew toasted at our old Pilsen spot. Murals glowing under neon. But Sophia pulled me aside. You freed the art.
Mads.
But what about you? This war, did it heal or just scar deeper? I laughed, bitter as black coffee. Truth was the twist nod, buried in the drive. A subfolder on me. Years back, high on fellowship fumes, I'd skimmed paint supplies for a side gig. Petty, but enough to taint my whistle. Victor knew. Filed it away. Elena's tip? Partial payback for that. Twisted into full frame. No one clean. All complicit in the game's rot. The mural went up a week later. Tarps ripped by volunteers. My suit's panel untouched. Elena resigned, spilling to ProPublica in a tell-all that painted her gray. Not black, coerced. Yes, but complicit. Victor plea bargained from a cell, muttering about artistic license. As snow dusted the wall that winter, I stood beneath it, figures staring back unblinking. Victory? The city's debates raged, forums ablaze, op-eds clashing. Some hailed me hero, others harpy. But in the quiet, I wondered, had I avenged the betrayal? Or just traded one mask for another? Chicago's art beat on, resilient and ragged. And I walked away with cleaner hands than before, but fingers still itching for the next brush. The fallout lingered like exhaust in a snowstorm. That bitter January when the Windy City decided to live up to its name. I'd traded my walk-up for a sublet in Ukrainian village, closer to the action, farther from the ghosts, but sleep came in fits. Haunted by Elena's fractured gaze from the dais, her tears real enough to drown doubts. The mural stood proud now, a beacon for bus riders and bike messengers. But every tag added, truth wins in whiteout. Snitch in red Sharpie felt like a referendum on my soul. Jamal landed a residency at the MCA off my buzz. Sophia's Instagram blew up with solidarity sketches.
Me?
Gigs trickled in, but whispers followed. Madison Hale. The folder bomber. Fair? Hell. In this town, fair was for tourists. Victor called from county lockup 2 weeks post-hearing. His voice gravel through the line. Collect. Of course, penny pinching to the end. You got style. Kid, he rasped. A chuckle like dry leaves. But you left scorch marks. Elena's lawyered up, spinning you as the unstable one. I gripped the receiver, staring at frost-laced windows overlooking Milwaukee Avenue's shuttered storefronts. Unstable? The word stung, echoing shrinks from probation who'd poked at my resentment issues. You built this. Vic, I shot back. You and your insurance. Why slip me the folder if not to light the fuse? Silence. Then, redemption's a bitch.
Plus.
Florida's overrated. Gators and humidity. Figured you'd make better use. He wasn't wrong. The feds leaned on the files, unraveling a web that snagged 3 aldermen and a CTA exec. Elena's tell-all dropped in Chicago Reader. A 5,000-word confessional, from protege to pawn, how power corrupts the canvas. She painted Victor as the devil in Bespoke, herself the wide-eyed enabler who'd internalized the hustle to survive.
Me?
Madison was collateral, brilliant, but brittle. Her rage fueled the art, but it blinded her to shared sins. Shared sins. That subfolder burned hottest, my petty thefts, logged with timestamps from 19. Nothing felony grade, but enough to muddy my moral high ground. Online trolls latched on, Muralgate trended, split between Justice for Madison and Elena Exposed, with memes of me as a folder-wielding Valkyrie or a bitter harpy clutching grudges. I dove into the fray, because silence is surrender. Hit WBEZ for an interview. Voice steady over airwaves. This isn't about one villain. It's the system's rot, grants as gateways to graft, artists as expendable, listeners called and divided, a teacher praising the mural's teachable truths, a retired cop decrying anarchist anarchy. Controversy courted cash, my Patreon surged, funding a workshop series on ethical street art. But nights, alone with ramen and the bear reruns, doubt crept. Had I avenged the betrayal? Or just amplified the echo chamber? Elena texted once. From a burner, we were pawns.
Mads.
Truce? Coffee. Like old times. I deleted it. But the what-ifs lingered. Sour as flat beer. Spring thawed the tension. Cherry blossoms dusting the mag mile like confetti from a funeral. The initiative rebooted under a new interim, Dr. Liang, a no-nonsense curator from the Asian American Art Center. All sharp bobs and sharper questions. She summoned me to her office, walls lined with protest posters from '68. Your folder flipped the script, she said, pouring jasmine tea. But healing starts with accountability. Elena's out. But the scars? We paint over them together. Her pitch. Co-lead a citywide series. Uncovered layers. Murals crowdsourced from affected communities. Jamal and Sophia signed on. Even a few ex-cops. Grudgingly. For bridge-building panels. We broke ground in Englewood. A neighborhood still reeling from 20 riots, walls pocked with bullets and memories. My design. Layered transparencies, acetate sheets over base coats, peeling to reveal histories, redlining maps under blooming lots, badge cracks mending into clasped hands. Elena's shadow loomed, rumors swirled she'd consult remotely, advising from her sabbatical in Oaxaca. I pushed back in planning sessions, voice-edged, no exiles calling shots. Liang mediated. Her calm a bomb. Growth isn't erasure. It's integration. Integration. The word chafed. But I swallowed it for the crew, for the kids who'd pose with spray cans, eyes wide at possibility. Mid-project. The twist dropped like a gut punch. Anonymous email to the board. CC'd to me. Attachments of my emails from 19. Haggling paint prices off books. Routing scraps to a pop-up I'd run under a shell name. Hail's hypocrisy. The subject line sneered. Sender masked. But the watermark screamed Elena, her old sigil. A stylized quill. Retaliation. Pure and petty. The board huddled. Liang called me in. Face grave. It's leverage, she said. They want your head or her in. Polarization peaked. Press pitted us as duelists. Tribune headline mural wars. Who wears the black hat? Public forums erupted. Reddit threads dissecting motives. TikToks lip-syncing our old interviews with villain edits. Jamal rallied defenders. Mads took the fall once. This is survivor shit. Sophia, ever the philosopher, blogged, no heroes. Just humans scraping color from gray. I could have lawyered up. Countersued for defamation. Instead, I flipped the script again. Hosted a live peel at the Englewood site. Acetate layers ripping to bare the base. My sins, etched in faint lines. Integrated, not erased. This is us, I told the crowd. Mic trembling under Klieg lights. Families gathered on folding chairs. Flaws in the foundation. But we build anyway. Elena crashed the stream from Mexico. Face gaunt in pixelated feed. Madison's right. I sent it. Desperation's ugly. But let's end this. Joint statement. The chat exploded. Team Mads. Forgive Elena. Burn it all. We did the statement. Co-bylined in Hyde Park Herald. Admissions all around. A call for reformed funding. Transparent audits. Victor, from his plea hearing, even chimed in via affidavit. I gambled lives for legacies. Don't repeat my bet. The series launched to fanfare. Walls blooming across the south and west sides. Dialogues in community centers where ex-cops broke bread with activists. My cut? Enough for a down payment on a studio in Bridgeport, overlooking rail yards humming with freighted futures. But the real twist? Summer solstice. A package arrived, no sender. Just a thumb drive and a note. Full circle.
E.
Files inside. Her Oaxaca sketches. Raw and raging. Figures of betrayed women clawing from canvases. A voice memo. Her accent thick with tequila tears. You won?
Mads.
Or we both did. The betrayal? It forged us. Use this. Remix it into something true. I stared at the drive. Cursor hovering over delete. Controversy's gift. Not absolution. But ammunition for the next layer. By July 4th, fireworks cracked over the lake. The city a powder keg of barbecues and beefs. I met Jamal and Sophia at the original wall, now layered with fresh tags, hopeful scrawls over old cracks. What's next? Jamal asked, passing a lukewarm old style. I shrugged, the drive burning in my pocket. Another peel, I guess. Uncover till we're bare. Laughter cut the night. But inside, the debate raged. Victory a truce. Or just intermission. Chicago pulsed on. Art its erratic heartbeat. And I walked the line between Avenger and artist. Folder scars fading but never gone. Fall crept in like a debtor. Leaves turning gold then rot under October rains that turned streets to mirrors of regret. The Uncovered Layers series had peaked, galleries clamoring for catalogs. TEDx invites pinging my inbox, but the high soured fast when Elena surfaced stateside. Not in shadows, but spotlit, a New Yorker profile. The fall and rise of Chicago's mural queen, framing her Oaxaca exile as epiphany. My folder gambit as cathartic collision. She was back. Pitching a nonprofit. Art without apology. Grants for marginalized makers. Board? Stacked with our old allies. Leon included. The invite landed via email. Madison, collaborate? Launch, event. Your keynote. I paced the studio. Turpentine sharp in the air. Brushes abandoned mid-stroke. Collaborate? After the leaks. The limbo? But the subtext hummed. her sketches on the drive. Vulnerable veins of color begging remix. Jamal voted yes, turned poison to pigment, while Sophia warned. She's a chameleon.
Mads.
Next flip. You're the backdrop. Nights blurred into what-ifs. Scrolling her Insta, sun-drenched walls in Oaxaca. Captions on forgiveness. Forgiveness. The word tasted like ash. But Chicago's rhythm, hustle, haunt, heal, whispered maybe. Launch night hit the Harold Washington Library. Atrium soaring like unchecked ambition. Crowd a mix of donors in cashmere and artists in thrift store chic. Elena took the stage in emerald silk. Voice resonant. Betrayal's the shadow, truth, the light. Madison Hale showed me that. Applause thundered. She gestured me up. Folder in her hand, my folder, restored like a relic. Tonight, we burn it. Together. Symbolic. Sure. But my gut clenched. Cameras rolled. I joined her. Zippo flickering in the hush. As flames licked paper. Secrets curling to smoke. She leaned in. The drive, my white flag. Remix it, we owe the story that. Post-burn. Over bourbon flights at the gauge. We talked real. No scripts. Just scars. Her foster kid fears driving the climb. My Rust Belt rage fueling the fall. I framed you because I feared being you exposed, she admitted. Ice clinking. But you didn't break, you built. I nodded. Throat tight. And you? That tell-all wasn't absolution, it was armor. Truce solidified over weeks. Joint workshop in Pilsen. Blending her Oaxaca fury with my layered peels. Victor's trial loomed. Sentencing in November. His plea netting 5 years, but he mailed a sketch from lockup. Shaky lines of a phoenix from ashes, to the duo that outfoxed the fox. Winter bit hard. Lake effect snow burying the city in whiteout amnesia. Our collab mural debuted in Logan Square, a massive peal of betrayals and rebirths. Elena's quill figures interweaving my cracked foundations. Unveiling drew controversy's familiar fangs, sometimes dubbed it détente on the wall, skeptics sniping sellout solidarity. But crowds came, kids tracing lines with mitten fingers. Elders nodding at echoed pains. Polarization persisted, online. Folder sisters trended with heart emojis and pitchforks, but the debate shifted, from blame to bridge. Then the hammer, mid-January. Feds subpoenaed our emails. Tracing initiative echoes to Art Without Apologies seed fund. Elena's offshore contact? A consultant from Victor's Web. My subfolder sins? Surfacing in depositions. Petty thefts twisted as pattern. Liang bailed. Board scattered. Press swarmed like locusts. Elena called. Voice steel. Frame job again. We fight tandem. I hesitated. Old betrayals echo thundering. But the mural stared back from news feeds. Layers intact. Tandem, I said. But this time, full disclosure. The hearing Redix-packed federal court in the Dirksen. Wood-paneled solemnity clashing with our spray paint souls. Elena testified first. Unflinching. I funneled to heal. Not hide. Madison's files schooled me. Transparency or bust. My turn. Folder ghosts invoked. But I owned the grays. We all skimmed survival. Punish the system. Not the survivors. Judge. A grizzled vet with CPS tattoos peeking from cuffs. Leaned in. Art's messy. Ladies. So's justice. Charges dropped. Insufficient nexus. But the sting landed. Probation for Elena. Restitution for me. Victor. Watching from Gen Pop feed. Sent a smuggled note. You flipped the house. Respect. Spring 26 bloomed defiant. Art without apology reformed. Audits etched in bylaws. Murals mandatory collabs. Elena and I keynote South by Southwest. Our panel Betrayal as brushstroke, sparking walkouts and weepies. Back home, the West Side Wall evolved, public peels. Anyone adding layers of truth. Jamal curated a spin-off in Brooklyn. Sophia docked it for PBS.
Me?
I inked a book deal. Folder fires, Confessions of a Mural Avenger. Raw prose laced with sketches from the drive. Yet the twist lingered. A shadow in sunlight. Late May. Over pierogi at a village spot. Elena slid a final envelope. Victor's will. Probated quiet. Bequest split his collection to us. With a codicil to Madison and Elena. Paint the lies away. But remember, the canvas lies too. Inside. Deeds to a Wicker Park loft, the one we'd ramened in. Now ours. Laughter bubbled. Absurd and free. Co-ownership, she quipped. Or co-conspiracy? We moved in. Walls blank begging riot. That night. Brushes out. We layered first strokes. Fractures mending. Shadows dancing. Chicago thrummed below. Owl trains rattling secrets. Horns honking hungers. Revenge? It had been a bonfire. Scorching paths to hear. Happy ending? Debatable. Scars itched in humidity. Debates flared in DMs. But as colors bled true, I knew no one's wholly right, wholly wrong. Just artists wielding truth like weapons or wings. The mural lives, so do we, flawed, fierce, forever unfinished.